Welcome to Module 2 of the Civilian Firearms Training Program. This module provides you with the necessary knowledge of the Firestone Firearms Commission and its makeup. Please read along with me the Revamped Control of Firearms Act. It should be linked now. We'll be starting with Section 6, the Firestone Firearms Commission. The Firestone Firearms Commission, here in FFC, shall be established to manage and regulate the distribution of civilian firearms licenses, here in CFL, in singular and CFLs in plural. The Commission shall consist of the Governor, the Attorney General, a judge of a state circuit, 2 appointed citizens by the Attorney General, optional, and a developer, optional. 2 citizens may be appointed by the Attorney General with confirmation from the State of Firestone Senate. The holders of such appointments shall be required to possess a civilian firearms license and should be knowledgeable with firearm-related law. Holders shall also be citizens and maintain a clean criminal record, bearing citations. Appointments shall serve for life unless they no longer possess a civilian firearms license and no longer a citizen, resign from their position, or are impeached and convicted by Congress. They shall also be able to remove by the FFC with a 2/3 majority vote excluding themselves. A developer may be appointed and removed by the founder at his discretion, though this position is optional. The position will not, however, be permitted to review or regulate applications, but will serve solely as an advisory role from the development team. This member shall also not get a vote in FFC decisions. The Chief Court Justice will appoint a judge of any state circuit to the FFC with confirmation from the State of Firestone Senate upon opening of the position. This judge will serve as an overwatch position to ensure impartiality and prevent bias/corruption. Appointments shall serve for life unless they no longer possess a civilian firearms license, are no longer a state circuit judge, or are no longer a citizen, resign from their position, or are impeached and convicted by Congress. The Attorney General shall be responsible for streamlining the communication and operation of the FFC. They will be tasked with gathering all members in an easily accessible forum to communicate and make decisions. They shall establish an anonymous tip line to facilitate incoming CFL complaints. The appointed judge shall be responsible for reporting instances of misconduct or inactivity of Commission members to Congress. The Attorney General shall be responsible for reporting instances of misconduct or inactivity regarding the appointed judge to Congress. So essentially what Section 6 is just talking about is just the makeup of the FFC. I don't know if it's too important really, but it's kind of just the main important parts of this is just knowing who's on it and who you can report to if there is a misconduct information. So that's the big takeaways from this section. The next section is powers of the Commission. 2 FFC members, except for the judge appointed, who jointly sign off, may suspend the CFL for firearm-related criminal activity with preponderance of evidence to be detailed on the individual's license card. This suspension may not exceed 120 hours, 5 days, in time, and a vote to revoke or extend the suspension must be commenced. If the vote fails or is not commenced, the suspension shall be reversed. The FFC may, by 1 majority vote in affirmation, suspend the CFL with a plausible reason to be detailed on the individual's license card. This suspension may not exceed 1 month, 30 days in time. The judge appointed may overrule any suspension with plausible reason. Another judge, through a hearing requested by the suspended individual, may overrule any suspension. Once a suspension is revoked or it is expired, a CFL license holder may not be suspended again for the same incident. As punishment for conviction of any firearm-related crime in a court of law, a judge may suspend a CFL for a period not exceeding 2 months, 60 days. The Commission shall not hold the power to overrule the suspension, though the suspension may be lifted due to a successful appeal of the judge's ruling by any applicable superior appeals court, aka the Supreme Court. The FFC may, by 2/3 supermajority vote and affirmation, revoke a CFL with reason plausible. The FFC may also, by a supermajority vote and affirmation, blacklist a citizen from receiving a CFL. This may be overturned by 1/2 vote or a majority vote of the Commission at any time. A judge may overrule a revocation and reissue a license and/or overrule a blacklist and unblacklist the individual upon the findings of a hearing requested by the individual. Any FFC member may revoke a CFL upon the holder no longer being a citizen or upon request by the holder of said license. As punishment for conviction of any firearm-related crime in a court of law, a judge may revoke a CFL. The Commission shall not hold the power to overrule the revocation, though the revocation may be undone, due to a successful appeal of the judge ruling by any applicable superior appeals court. So essentially what Section 7 is talking about is it's just the powers that the Commission has to remove, suspend CFLs. The main takeaways is just how long each one and what kind of vote is required. So for example, for blacklisting and removing one, it's always going to be supermajority or 2/3 vote, not 1/2. And then also a judge can also remove CFLs if they, as a punishment for a conviction in a court of law. So when you combine those two, that's like the main important parts of this section, Section 7. Section 8, obtaining a civilian firearms license. The criteria to receive a civilian firearms license shall be strict to prevent abuse. Firstly, an individual must complete the civilian firearms training program, herein CFTP. That is approved by the FFC. The FFC, by a majority vote and affirmation, must approve a CFTP curriculum for use that meets the guidelines specified in this Act. This program shall in detail discuss and review pertinent parts of this Act as well as other active firearm legislation. There must be a live portion where participants handle firearms in a safe manner and are tested by the instructors with varying difficulty of questions that have not yet been asked as part of the program. Any person duly employed by any law enforcement agency shall not need to attend the live portion of the training. However, they shall be required to take an exam that shall be different and more detailed than that of the quiz given to participants in the live portion. The FFC shall be required to publicly release a high-level overview of what the program entails and the steps citizens should take in attaining a CFTP and eventually a CFL. An individual may not enroll in a program, be granted a CFL, or maintain a CFL if they have felony arrest or conviction on record or are not a citizen. All CFTP certifications shall be documented and kept by the Department of Justice as a public record. Any materials, test answers, and training guides used for a CFTP shall be exempt from release and shall not be released by any Freedom of Information Act request unless permitted by the Commission. Upon passing the program and being granted a CFTP, the individual shall be eligible to apply for a CFL. A voting member of the FFC shall and once again summarily background check the individual and ensure all standards are met before issuing the CFL. As punishment for conviction of any felony in a court of law, a judge may order that the individual be required to repeat the CFTP detailed in this section and that their current CFTP certification be revoked. The FFC cannot overrule this. This ruling shall be subject to the normal court appeals process. As punishment for any reason plausible, the FFC may by a majority vote order that an individual be required to repeat the CFTP detailed in this section and that their current CFTP certification be revoked. The judge appointed may overrule this for reason plausible. Section 9, CFL and CFTP punishment extended. Pursuant to the Revised Contracts Act of 2023, a contract may be made that enables an individual with a CFTP and/or CFL to do retraining. So essentially what these two sections are just talking about and why they're important to you is it just talks about what the process is to get a CFL. One important thing is getting a CFTP is not the same thing as a CFL. It does not allow you to own a firearm in the state of Firestone. It allows you to then apply for a CFL later on. So, very important. Having just a CFTP does not automatically grant you a CFL. That's the main thing within this act. Everything else is more of a thing that the FFC has to deal with, which you won't have to deal with on a time-to-time basis. Maybe one other thing, though, that you may want to know is that you can't have a CFL if you have a felony arrest or conviction on record or you are not a citizen. So just keep that in mind. Don't leave the group and then ask why you got your CFL revoked. That can be a reason as well. Activities granted to CFL holders. Upon being granted a CFL license, said individual may and may only purchase firearms from any certified weapons distributor to be designated by the Department of Commerce or developers. They may summarily conceal said weapon on their person or property. Persons may use their lawful firearms for self-defense and defense of another in accordance with statutory law where defined. Persons may also use their lawful firearm for recreation. Recreation may be firing practice at a range recognized by law or the Department of Commerce, hunting away from a populated area, or a firearm show approved by the Department of Commerce. The Department of Commerce shall only approve of firearm shows if they have made strenuous efforts to organize such an event in advance, have taken precautions to ensure a safe and blocked off area from the public in which the event shall only be permitted to be within, and will only allow individuals with a license to participate. These approvals shall be one-time use. Department of Commerce may revoke its approval at any time. So this is the last section, and essentially all it's talking about is if you have a CFL, these are kind of the things you're able to do with it. You're able to do hunting, which isn't really implemented yet, so don't really do that. Go to the range, which the only range recognized right now is Iron Sights over in Arborfield, which is also near the racetrack. And then the last one is a firearm show, which happens every so often, but just look out for announcements from that from the Department of Commerce. So if you're not doing one of those three things and you're not doing self-defense, which will be talked about in the next video, then you can't use your firearm. That's essentially what this part is talking about. Another important part is the designation for these kind of businesses that can sell firearms is called a certified weapons distributor. It's not called Path Guns. Path Guns isn't recognized by law. The name of that kind of, type of business is still just certified weapons distributor. So just remember that. Thank you for watching this video on the Revamped Control of Firearms Act. You can now do your session quiz now, and we'll see you in the next one. See ya.